Hi, I'm Sue Southerton, the Executive Director of the Myasthenia Gravis Foundation of Michigan. Myasthenia gravis is a rare and little-known disease. The Myasthenia Gravis Foundation of Michigan is putting a face to the disease by talking with people who are living with myasthenia gravis. You probably never heard of myasthenia gravis, also known as MG, before getting diagnosed or having a family member diagnosed with it. While MG is a challenging illness, unlike other neurological diseases, MG is an illness with hope. The MGMI Foundation is here to support patients and families with education and resources on myasthenia gravis. Part of our mission is to create supportive connections between newly diagnosed patients and folks who have experienced living with MG. While the symptoms can be devastating and the diagnosis difficult to acquire, the fact that it is so uncommon can be isolating and frustrating. We gathered several MGMI community members here at the studios of WKTV to give them an opportunity to share some of their knowledge and experience in dealing with MG. We took bits and pieces from those conversations and created informational video segments that address different aspects of the experience of living with MG. With these videos, we will be answering questions you may have like, what does MG look like in a month, next year, or in 50 years? Why should I go to an MGMI support meeting or event? What benefit is there for me to learn more about this rare disease? Now let's hear from some of our MGMI community members.
So myasthenia gravis has been a disease that we as a medical profession have known about since the 1800s. It's a disease that we didn't really learn how to treat well until the 1950s and 60s. And today we treat, I think, very, very well.
The symptoms are basically drooping eyelids, double vision, slurred speech, trouble chewing and swallowing, weakness of your arms and your legs. Now this can be you can have all of them. That's called generalized myasthenia, or ocular is just with the eyes. And the symptoms come and go. Even with medication, you can have a good day and a bad day, like I mentioned earlier. So I would fall and not be able to get up, not be able to swallow dinner, So it was not real pleasant in those days.
My name is Lisa Gigliotti, and I was diagnosed in my mid-20s. And I noticed that I started getting double vision, and then I started slurring my speech. And I thought it was just a lot of stress, and that's what was going on. But it started progressing even further, where I couldn't lift my arms. Each one felt if it was like a 100-pound weight. And so if I tried to brush my teeth or brush my hair, I couldn't even hold my arm up for 2 or 3 seconds. And after that, it began so that I couldn't chew my food very well, and food would either fall out of my mouth or the liquids would kind of dribble out of my mouth.
I went to a Christmas party of my wife's office, and I just sat down with another couple, and I started to talk to them, and I started to lisp. And I mean, it was pretty embarrassing, actually. I mean, I was just having a really difficult time. And so I'd wait a little bit, and then I could start to speak again. And then I got to the point where I couldn't even form words. And so that started everybody quite concerned. I didn't feel physically ill or anything like that. I was just having this speech problem. Went home. The next day I had to do a little bit of speaking, and it started happening to me again. And I casually mentioned it to my physician that, I've been having this speech issue every once in a while, and I slurred speech. Well, that started a whole raft of testing. I had every test you can imagine, MRIs and ultrasounds and brain scans and x-rays, and didn't show anything.
What signs or symptoms were you having that kind of indicated that maybe something wasn't quite right?
First thing first, it was the double vision. I went and had my eyes checked, and I got glasses. And within 6 months, I had to go have them checked again, and they were bad again, so they had to do my prescription higher. And apparently the ophthalmologist back then didn't have any idea what myasthenia was, so it wasn't caught back then.
How long did it take for you to find out what you really had?
About 2 years. It happened to be that my OB was taking care of a patient who had myasthenia gravis, and he said that he thought that that's what I had.
So when you found out you had MG, I mean, what was your initial thoughts?
Well, when he first said the words in the name, it was like, really? I mean, it's a big, long name, and you have no idea what it is. And he's just an OB, so, you know, he knows, but he doesn't know everything. It's very scary. And it was 9 years before I knew anybody else that had it. And so it's kind of weird. You feel like kind of a freak because you don't know what it is and you just don't feel good.
Before I was actually diagnosed, what brought me into the neurologist or asking for help with my doctors was I would start losing my voice. It seemed like my voice was going out, and people were not able to hear me clearly. And it was just very scary to start losing your voice. And that just took me on a journey to psychiatry and then neurology, but I was fortunately diagnosed very quickly within 3 months of starting having symptoms.
I never had a lot of stamina. I could keep up in the long run, but I had to take breaks quite often. I had some difficulty swallowing, just the extreme tiredness.
Is that something you've had most of your life as you look back?
I've had it all of my life. The neurologist did say that I probably had it all my adult life, but looking back, I think even as a teenager, I tired quicker than others. A lot of things that I felt was probably hypochondria, was in fact something that was going on and was typical of MG.
So the major symptoms of myasthenia gravis are weakness, first and foremost. And it's weakness that comes and goes. Different people present in different ways, but for the most part, many people develop weakness in the face, in the eyes, in the mouth, or in the shoulders or the hips. The most common presenting complaint is double vision or a droopy eyelid. Whether or not people develop other weakness after that is a question that we end up answering with time. So there are two different forms of myasthenia gravis. The first form is a disease where your body injures itself. So it's an autoimmune disease. There are a smaller group of people who have MG because the junction between the nerve and the muscle, and that's the part of MG that, the part of the body that MG attacks, wasn't ever built right to begin with. And that's called congenital myasthenia gravis. Some patients with myasthenia gravis are born with it, and it manifests over time. Most patients with myasthenia gravis develop it because their body learns how to injure itself. But it's not related to an infection, it's not contagious. We don't think of it in those kinds of terms.
So you can see that MG can be intermittent with its symptoms, and symptoms can look very different between individuals. MG is not contagious. It can be difficult to diagnose. Fortunately, MG is an illness that can be managed, as you've just heard from folks who have been living actively with MG for years. At MGMI, we provide connections in the MG community and access to educational resources about MG. We have more videos to share. If you want to learn more, continue watching, and when you're ready to connect, contact us through our website or give the office a call.